In this video, I'm going to talk about one more plugin within XRM Toolbox called as Record Lookup by GUID. This plugin was built by Mr. Morton Bestet. Uh, uh, Record Lookup by GUID is basically a utility to find the record using a GUID. Now, what is the purpose of it? Now, why will you use this particular utility? Now, uh, I have seen many times when you work on Power Platform or any other solutions based on Power Platform, most of the records are based on GUID, like globally unique identifier. So it's a 32-bit string, and then based on that, all the record entities, tables, environment, organization, tenants, all those things are based on that specific grid. Now, uh, if you encounter any errors or warnings, or if you want to know something about that identifier which was popped up by the system during those error or warning event, then it is a useful tool to identify from which record or which table that particular error is getting uh, uh, spewed by the system. Now, the use case is basically this grid is used to identify the table, identify the record, identify the app, identify the view. It is mainly used for troubleshooting purpose, but you can use it for other purpose as well, like when you are writing some apis and if you want to know what kind of GUID is being spitted by say OData API interface, or if you're writing some PowerShell, or if you're using Pack CLI, and then it lists down all the environment, all the GUIDs, and if you want to make use of that GUID to identify what record or table it is referring, then this tool is the best tool for identifying those, because it scans through your entire environment and tries to give you that result. Now, how does this tool look like? This is the simple tool. So what it does is you need to specify the record grid, whatever grid you get from your error or warning or OData interface or PowerShell command execution. Put that in the record grid and search for that entities. It will also warn you that if there are more than maybe 500 or 600 entity, then it is wise to filter out the scope through which you want to search those record grid. Now, on the bottom here, you will find entity filter. If you are sure that this record belongs to some specific entity, you can actually specify and filter down and say that, hey, just look in say specific entity or exclude some entity because I don't want all the entity to be searched. Or you can put a selection and say just search for custom entities. Now, let's jump into the action for this tool. So, in order to understand this tool, first I will explain you what a GUID is and how GUID is referenced in Power Platform. So, if you see here, this interface, this is make.power apps interface. There is a table over here. This is a that same table published as an app. Okay, so let's look into the table first. So, if you see the URL over here, now let me copy this URL and then put it in a notepad. So let me pick a new notepad. Okay. So here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to paste this record. Now, what does this URL indicate? That let's dissect this URL. It says this belongs to an environment. Okay. So environment is this, and entities. Entities means table is this. So we get an indication that definitely this belongs to some table. Okay, so if you want to identify, so if you get this error from some actions or interface or plugin execution, or you want to check it from the audit trace, then you copy this particular GUID and put that in the tool. Okay, so we'll do that, but let me show you another option. Like here, this is an app, a model driven app which is getting rendered. Now I'll just copy this URL and I'll again put it in my notepad and then again try to dissect this. So if you see here, from after the query string, app ID is something, ampersand, page type is entity, list, entity is this, view ID is this, and view type is this. So we have got a view ID over here. So this is a view ID. So that means any view which gets rendered. So here, the view which is getting rendered is active worlds. So that is the view ID for active worlds. App ID over here, if you see over here, this belongs to this particular app. Okay, so we'll try to find out all these entities one by one. Okay, second thing which I want to pick up is, like, say, take for example, this is a record of world table, and it has some columns: countries, capital, account. Now let's pick up one country, say Singapore. Okay, now Singapore has a GUID of 5D572. So let me copy this and put it in my notepad. So this belongs to Singapore, and we'll just find out whether it searches correctly or not. Then we have this table. Now table, if you want to get the detail of the table, you can find that 2b9 thing is the GUID that's of specific table. Okay, from the URL itself you'll come to know, and then you can go into, say, forms or views and get those values. So if I'm in, say, specific view, say if I open, say, G World view, okay, and I will just open, I'll just copy this URL again, and let me paste it again over here. Again, while splitting this URL, it gives you this make.power apps and E and S and entity, and then this is the view ID. Okay, so this is what we are interested in. So we will get this value. So let's start with this value. Okay, we'll just copy this view, and now if I go into the tool, XRM Toolbox, here I have already downloaded record lookup by GUID. So if it is not available for you, please go ahead and download it from the XRM Toolbox tool library. Once you are in the application, this is how the application looks like. So the interface, basically it says put out the record GUID, whatever you want to search. If you click on this button, it says it will search through 707 entities. Now you can also say don't search in everything. I also know the entity name. So let's filter out only by that specific entity. So I can do that as well. But in my case, I'll do, I'll just do a search, and let it search through the entire entity and see how long does it take. Okay, so I'm just searching. I got a GUID from errors or some warning, and then I just want to find out what that from where that GUID has come. So I've clicked on the search button, and let's see what result it gives me, whether it gives me a correct result or not. Now ideally what should we get is, if you see here, this is coming from a view. Okay, so this is one of the views, so it should point out to a view, and we know what view it is. So it should it is basically a view. Okay, so now here I got that URL. Now what has happened is, basically, this tool has found this record. Okay, and it has automatically opened it in a browser, but that was not my default browser. So it is not rendering me the value. So what I'm going to do, I've copied this URL, and now I'll paste it and see what view it is currently referring to. Now if you see here, even here I don't see that record. Okay, now why? Because if you see this URL, this is the environment ID. Now my environment ID is basically giridev.crm, because I've changed it. I've changed it from the default. But this tool gives you the default environment ID, where it was when it was first established. So one minor change you need to make. You need to just type in your own environment name. That's it. If you do that, then you will be able to get the result. But here still we are not able to get the result, because this is pointing to .crm.dynamics.com. Okay, so here I have crm5, so if I need to change that as well, and once you do that, you will find that exact view through which we are referring to. So what it has done, it has pointed to a gworld table. Okay, it has pointed this value to a gworld table, and this is the gworld table view which we are looking for. Let's do one more thing. Let's start searching for something else as well. So if I go into this list now here, so let's go into the table and pick up some country which we have already done. So yeah, so let me open a world table, and here we have already picked that ID of Singapore, right? So similarly we can pick other countries as well. Let me pick up say Singapore value over here, and let me copy this. And now again what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into this and I'm going to paste this and try to find that out. So it will again search for it, and once the search result is done, it will automatically try opening in the browser. But the URL you may need to modify it because it picks up the old environment URL, which was whereby your environment was provisioned. So my environment was provisioned using this. So I need to make some slight changes. I need to just say k dash dev and even check the CRM server number. Okay, once that is done, just hit in the account, and it is okay. So why it is asking me for login is because I'm opening it in a different context. Okay, so I'm logged in as something else, so I want this to be open here. Okay, so that I need not log in. So I'll just again make that change, and here I'll make this change. Yes. So once that is done, it will point you to that exact record. So now I have got this exact record, and now I can troubleshoot uh, in any shape or form for that specific entity, instances, events, warnings, errors, information provided by either my error screen, or maybe I'm doing some troubleshooting activities. So this is how this particular tool can be used. Again, I explained to you, you need not search for all the 707 entity. You just need to find out, um, if you know, if you're sure it is coming from custom entities, select custom entities. If you think that it is coming from one or two tables, just entity filter that out. If no, then click on 707 entity. So it is not that slow. I've seen that it takes almost like a 30-40 seconds to search for 707 entities in my tenant, but in your case it might be something else, but it actually finds the correct record as you see over here. If you want to do again a quick search and verify it, you can even do that as well. So let's search for, say, Germany. Okay, so I'm just copying this, and I'll just paste this record. It will search for the entity, and the output should be a country record for Germany. Okay, so it has searched. How you come to know that it has opened a browser, and here you will see found record Germany. So that means this tool will help you to find those table record. Now let's see one thing. Now in the URL which we have created over here, there are environments, there are entities, and then there are view IDs. Okay, so all these things can be searched, but what whether it searches for app or not. Okay, so let's find that out. So if I copy this app ID and if I search for it, let's see whether it searches for the app ID or not. Now I've seen that it doesn't search for an environment ID. So if you have that environment ID, so in the URL, if you have this environment ID, it does not searches that. For It searches for view, it searches for entity, it searches for the record, and as you see over here, it has already found that the world record app. So that means what we have done, we have copied this app ID, and this app ID over here, it has found that the hey, this belongs to a world record app, a world app, and that's how you identify it. So if you want to search for apps, entities, views, records, yes, this is a good tool to identify the exact record, but just by specifying the GUID. So that's it, folks. This is all about this tool. Thanks for watching.